Hello, my sunrise. I hope you're having a good day or night. This will be chapter 10 of It's a Small World by emphasis on Ghostwriter. Chapter 10, I already said that. First day of UA. I hope you enjoy. And let's get into this. First day of UA. Izuku wanted it noted that it was not his choice to be this sleep deprived. Please and thank you. Honestly, no one could respectively be expected to sleep with it with the amount of anxiety that had been coursing through him like a raging raging inferno last night. He had so many conflicting emotions about how the day was going to go, what was going to happen, what it meant. The massive front gates stood open before him, beckoning him forward like they had when he came to meet Nezu and discuss being the rat's personal student. Rizuku couldn't bring himself to step inside yet, too distracted with his racing thoughts. He knew he was in Aizawa's class. The paperwork inside the envelope had stated he was in 1A, and Izuku knew from both own research into the school and the meeting with Nezu, that Aizawa would be his sensei. Ever conflicting emotions had been every conflicting emotion had been regarding the man in conjunction with taking the entrance exam had only increased exponentially the closer today came. He was closer to a decision on whether or not to make the reveal. And to make matters worse, Aizawa had definitely picked up on the increasing nerves during their impact escape. Insult to injury, Izuku wished for anything. He could ask for advice on what to do, but the only person he could imagine asking was the man in question. How did he end up in this situation like this? Then there was the Bakio situation. He knew for the record that the explosive blonde had came in second in the exam. Izuku had only imagined what he earned on place to 1A2. Ever, even if it wasn't, even if it wasn't it, it was going to be impossible to avoid him forever, especially if he was as angry as Izuku thought he'd be for coming in second, much like coming into second to one, and Izuku had and two. Izuku and two. And Izuku hadn't and Izuku he hadn't seen in 5 years. Yeah, he wasn't looking forward to that conversation. In addition, the whole explosive slash fight breaking out slash still not really trusting the teachers to protect him. If it did mess up, there was no doubt going to be. There was approximately a 0% chance that Bakugo wouldn't yell for the world to hear about Izuku being quirkless. Izuku was preferred at UA though of UA becoming another Aldera. And he really wanted to go as long as he could before someone finding out. As if that wasn't enough, Izuku was also an introvert who hadn't been in an in-person class since he was 10. He definitely didn't remember how that kind of socializing worked, and while he heard of extroverts adopting some poor introverts and becoming best friends, that quite obviously had happened, never happened to him, and he had no idea one to hide him behind. And he had to deal with all of that without sleep the night before. Wonderful. He nearly jumped out of his skin when someone screamed his name. He turned down the sidewalk to see a somewhat familiar pink girl with yellow horns and eyes running up to him. It took a second before he recognized her as the one he'd asked to help him with the stop sign at the exam. Izuku, wait up! She finally came up, a little winded, and gestured behind her at one of the many people in UA forms walking towards the gate. We saw the hair and the ears from back here, and I just wanted to come and say hi. That thing you, the thing with a stop sign post, inspired. I have copied it myself. I'm so excited we all got in. Isn't this going to be amazing? We? Izuku winced at his stutter. He he worked hard to get rid of it the past few years, but sometimes it kicked back up. Well, part of him worried if he could summon extroverts. Maybe it was secretly his quirk. He shook his head to clear it. That was definitely the deprivation talking. Also, I'm sorry, but I don't think I got your name. He knew he definitely hadn't got given her his. Nato, she screamed delightedly. Well, you know him as Monoma. We became friends a few years ago, and he told me about the zero pointer. I'm Ashido. Sure enough, the light bond from the exam who'd help him with Uraraka had almost reached him. Mina, you're going to scare the poor boy, Monoma chided, his words causing her to pout at him. I'm sorry about her. She's excitable, but harmless. It's okay. Izuku took a breath to center himself. But if we don't get going, we're going to be late. He hadn't expected Ashido to grab both Monoma and him by the sleeves before dragging them up and up into the school. Monoma just sighed and shot him a "What can you do?" eye roll. Seriously, Izuku wanted to know if you could summon extroverts. Ultimately, he couldn't complain though. Not even he could deny that he was touch stars, and she clearly wasn't trying to hurt him yet, at least. And it did get him out of his thoughts through the gate and into Wane's classroom. Did the door have to be so big though? Izuku almost laughed when they arrived. There's no sign of Bakugo. Then almost cried when a glance at the seating chart on the board showed the boy wasn't even in the class. He'd never been this lucky before. He almost didn't trust it, half expecting his former bully to pop out of the vents or something, like a pre-quirk prank show. That thankfully never happened, and Izuku was allowed to peacefully find and settle in his seat. He was in the second desk against the far wall, behind someone with lavender hair with their face down on their arms on the desk, apparently napping. In front of the boy was a red and white hair. Mono was one seat up and the next row across from the purple hair boy. And Mina was across the room talking to a group of girls. Did he see Uraraka? He did see Uraraka notice him from the same group of girls, but before he had to worry about personally talking to someone else, he saw some sort of yellow blob inch its way into the room. Izuku hadn't personally seen the specs from the UA security during his less ideal internet activities, he would have thought lot been he would have been a lot more concerned. As it was still incredibly unsettling. Then the blood made eye contact with him with a very familiar face. Finger brought up to his mouth in a signal not to say anything, and it took Izuku in his power not to start cackling. What the actual fuck was Aizawa doing? Did Zashi know he did this? Nezu had to know about this. Izuku wondered how much blackmail material his new mentor had on Aizawa. If the man was pulling these kind of stunts, and if he'd be willing to share some. In front of Izuku, the purple kid sat up, also saw the cocoon that was her sensei, and started not long before the screams filled the air. As the rest of their classmates finally took notice, the tiger to her side stood, moved himself from the sleeping bag, and stepped forward. All right, calm down. My name is Aizawa. And I'm your homeroom teacher, he announced as kids scrambled for their chairs. I was here for 8 seconds, and only 2 of you noticed me. Then it took you even longer to settle down. This is unacceptable. Hero work is very dangerous business, and if you're not going to take it seriously, you need to get out of my class. Now, there are uniforms waiting for you in the training rooms. Put one on and meet me at training field A. You're on clock. Move it. And that, Izuku, a step behind the purple kid, by nature of already being sitting behind him, the kid moved at the same time, booked it out of the classroom. Taking his time to memorize the map he had been provided, he put it in acceptance. UA was massive, and he did not want to be late or get lost anywhere. He knew firsthand that Aizawa didn't mess around with this kind of stuff. It seemed the rest of the class was yet to learn that lesson. This is going to be an interesting morning. That was the end of chapter 10. I hope you enjoyed. That's a lot of notes. But anyway, I hope you enjoyed my Sundays. As always, the link is down in the description. Comments and kudos. Yeah. Blah, blah, blah. I hope you're having a good day. I have 0 water during this. And my mouth is dry, so yay. I will see you all next time. And that only took me 13 minutes. It felt like a lot longer. But y'all, I hope you're having a good day or night. And I'll see you all next time. I'll see you guys next time. Y'all. You.